going to be showing you a trick called out of sight, out of mind. And I've actually created a really cool handling for the beginning of it, and I'm very excited to show you guys. So without further ado, let's get right into the performance for the trick. So for this trick, we can just take a borrowed deck of cards, it can be completely shuffled, and we just need to split the deck roughly in half. So I'll go ahead and cut the deck in half, and I'm going to give half the deck to the spectator, and I'm going to ask them they can shuffle the cards as much as they want to. We can even exchange halves, it doesn't matter. But let's say they want to just keep their half here. So what I'm going to have them do is I'm going to have them basically shuffle their pile as much as they like, but when they're ready, I want them to spread through, and I just want them to think of any card here in the middle of their pile, okay? So they're going to go through here and just pretend that the spectator would be doing this, and the magician, being me, I would not be able to see what they're doing or what cards they're even holding onto. So, but in this case, since I don't have a spectator, I'll act as the role of the spectator. Let's say they're just gonna think of the 6 of hearts, okay? But as the magician, I would honestly have no idea that they're thinking of this. Okay, so they're gonna think of the 6 of hearts. They just went through, they just thought of any card. And now we'll take these piles and we'll just shuffle them back together here. We'll lose your card somewhere in the middle of the pack. There's absolutely no way I can know where it is or what it is. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna have myself guess which half your card is in, okay? So I'm gonna split the deck in half. And I don't know if I'm right or not, but just let me know if I'm right. I think your card might be in this half. And let's see if it's right. So it was the 6 of hearts, but being the magician, I wouldn't know this, but the spectator would go through and check if the 6 of hearts is in here, and they would tell me, no, the 6 of hearts is not in here. I say, okay, so that's okay, I got that part wrong, but that does mean that it's in this half. See, I was only using process of elimination there, so now I know it's somewhere in here, but still, I don't really know exactly which one it is. So we'll give the cards a shuffle, and I know it's somewhere in here. So let's see if I can try and find it. I would place the cards in the spectator's hand like this, and I'm just gonna take the cards one at a time and just try to feel for their card, okay? Interesting. I think I'm gonna go one more. At this point, I would ask the spectator, what is the card that you merely thought of? And they would tell me, for the first time, 6 of hearts. I say, I'm really glad I actually took that extra card because I actually stopped exactly at your card, the 6 of hearts, just like this. And yeah, guys, that is the trick. And at this point, everything can be completely examined. And I really hope you guys enjoyed this one. So if you guys did, be sure to stick around for the tutorial. All right, guys, so here's the tutorial for the trick that you just saw. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this version of out of sight, out of mind. This is just a very classic card trick that many magicians perform all the time, but I think this handling looks really, really fair, whereas the original handlings that I've seen causes the magician to do a lot of controls with the cards and just a lot of very precise shuffling. And it just kind of looks a little suspicious. So I just wanted to make it look as fair as possible. Without further ado, I'm going to show you guys exactly how this works. And I think you guys are going to enjoy it because it's really, really cool how it works. So it's completely impromptu. You do this with a borrowed deck of cards, but you want to make sure that it has at least 52 cards. So once you have this, all you need to do is take the deck and split it as close to half as possible. It doesn't have to be exactly perfect, but it just needs to be as close as possible. And the best way to split a deck in half is to open it like a book from the sides. So I just take my thumbs and I just open it from the sides and I just try and get that perfect even split. So this looks pretty good to me, and I'm gonna give half the deck to the spectator. I can give either half, it doesn't matter which one. And I'm just gonna ask them to shuffle their cards as much as they want. So they're gonna go ahead and do this. So what I'm gonna be doing now is I'm going to be using my own pile as a demonstration pile to show the spectator what I want them to do with their own cards. And there are 2 options that you can do here. There's a safer way, and there's also the riskier way. The one in the performance that you saw was the riskier way. That doesn't work 100% of the time. It only works a little bit of the time, but I'll show you guys both ways and you guys can choose which one you want to do. And you can also switch off and try both of them as well, because I think they both are really, really fun. The safer, more guaranteed that it will work way looks something like this. So you're gonna have them shuffle the cards. and you're gonna tell them to remember a card in the middle of the deck, and you're gonna have them do this by shuffling the cards, and when they're ready, they're just gonna lift up about half the cards and peek at the card that they've cut to and just remember that card and then leave it back in the middle. And what you're doing is you're actually going to be getting a secret key card at the same time. So as you're demonstrating this, you're going to tell the spectator that you want them to cut the cards in the middle and remember the card that they cut to in the middle. So right now, I'm just going to use this 3 of hearts as my key card because I cut more or less in the middle of the pile. So this card is going to be my new key card, and I'm going to leave it in the center where I found it. 3 of hearts is all I'm remembering. And now the spectator is going to do exactly what I just did, but they're going to do it with their own cards. And I'm not going to be able to see which card they're thinking of. So they're going to shuffle the cards and they're going to cut somewhere in the middle of the pile, and they're going to remember, in this case, 8 of clubs. So they've remembered a card in the middle, and I tell them once they remember it, just put it back and set it on the table so they don't further shuffle the cards. So I have a key card more or less in the middle of my pile, and they have their selection more or less in the middle of their pile. What I'm going to do now is shuffle the cards together, and I'm going to try to riffle shuffle them as close as possible. Now, I don't have to do a pharaoh shuffle. You don't need to do a pharaoh shuffle in order for this trick to work. You just need to riffle shuffle the cards and try and get it as precise as possible. And I just like to shuffle them really quickly. That's how I like to get it as precise as possible. So as you can see, it's not perfect at all, but it's pretty good. So I'm going to square these up, and now I can cut the cards as many times as I want. All I have to do is remember my key card, which is the 3 of hearts. If I remember that, I'm going to spread through the cards, locate that 3 of hearts, and when I find that 3 of hearts right here, what I'm going to do is cut it to the top. So now my key card is on top, and then I'm going to bury it in the center. Now, you might ask yourself, what the heck does this do? How is this going to find their card? Well, if you actually do this, most of the time, their selection will now be either 4 cards from the top or 4 cards from the bottom. So I believe their card was the 8 of clubs. So let's check where it is. Let's see, the top 4 cards is the 8 of clubs here. Boom, there it is. The 8 of clubs is now one of the top 4 cards. That's really it. That's how this trick works. So that's how I get their card to be controlled exactly where I want. So it could either be one of the top 4, or it also could be one of the bottom 4. So if you check the top 4 and it's not there, check the bottom 4 and it will be there. So go ahead and try this out yourself. It really does work. So that was the safer, more guaranteed way of controlling their selection to the place where you want it to be. But the one in the performance that I actually did was the more risky way. That doesn't work 100% of the time, but I'll still show it to you guys because it is definitely worth trying. And if it works, it's a total miracle. What you're gonna do instead of having them cut to a card in the middle, you're actually going to have them just think of a card in the middle. Now, yes, this seems a lot more risky because it's not 100% guaranteed, but you're going to be using your wording to try to guide them to think of one of, like these few cards in the middle of the deck. So the wording that I use, I say, I want you to spread through the cards so you see all the faces, and I want you to think of any card in the middle of the pile, and try not to think of one towards the top or the bottom because that would be too easy for me. Try and think of one really in the middle of the pile because I'll have no idea which one you're thinking of. So I'm gonna use that wording, and hopefully that will guide them to think of a card in the middle of their pile. And as I say this with my own demonstration pile, I'm gonna be getting my own key card. So I'm gonna choose the 6 of diamonds in this case. This looks like more or less the middle of the pile. So 6 of diamonds is my card, but now the spectator is going to do the same thing. They're gonna spread through, think of a card in the middle. Let's say the 10 of spades in this case. Okay, so 6 of diamonds, 10 of spades. I'm gonna now take the piles and give them a nice, precise riffle shuffle together, and we'll give them some cuts. Doesn't really matter. All I have to do is remember my key card, 6 of diamonds, and when I find it, I'm going to cut it to the top of the deck. In this case, it's right here on top of the deck. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to slip cut it in the middle, so I bury it. And now the 10 of spades, their card should be one of the top 4 cards or the bottom 4 cards. So if we check the top 4, okay, so it's not here. That should mean it's one of the bottom 4. And as you can see here, in this case, it is the bottom card. So as you can see, this method is a lot more risky because you have to rely on your words in order to guide the spectator, and there is a chance that they might not do exactly what you asked for, but it's still worth a shot, and it's definitely the more powerful option if you guys are up for trying that. So let's stick with this for now. No matter which method you use, you're gonna end up in the same position. The position being their selection is going to be one of the top 4 or one of the bottom 4 cards. It doesn't matter which one it is because you're going to find out with this next step. So once you cut your key card in the middle, all you're gonna do is swing cut the cards and hold a break. between the two halves. And you're going to tell the spectator that you're going to try to guess which half their card is in. So you're going to first just take the top pile with your break here, and you're going to spread it out on the table. You're just going to say, I think your card is somewhere in this pile, but I'm not quite sure which one it is. It doesn't matter if you're right or wrong. This is the point in which you're going to figure out if the spectator's card is in this pile or this pile. So you're going to ask them, do you see your card anywhere here? In this case, yes, because the 10 of spades is right here. So they're going to say, yes, my card is in this pile. You're going to say, perfect. So now we can eliminate this pile. We don't need it anymore. Since you know it's in this pile, you know it's one of these 4 cards over here. All you have to do is control these 4 cards to the top any way you want. And you can do this by getting a break on them and just cutting them to the top. You can also overhand shuffle them to the top, but you just want to get these first 4 cards to the top of the deck. Once you do this, you want to get 3 more cards on top of those cards. And that's really the end of the trick right there. So once you get 1, 2, 3 more cards on top, I just shuffle 3 cards, square it up, bring them on the top. So now I have 3 more cards on top. And then I just shuffle a few more cards, like 5 or 6 more, and then leave them on the bottom. So it's just a false shuffle, making it look like I'm mixing up the cards. I'm just shuffling the bottom few cards that don't actually matter. At this point, all I have to do is do the rest of the out of sight, out of mind trick, which is basically I take 3 random cards that I shuffled. I just go 1, 2, 3 here. And then what I'm gonna do is take 3 more cards, but I'm actually going to lift them up and peek them. So I'm not gonna lift them up all the way and look at them. I'm just gonna peek them a little bit like this. I can see 10 of diamonds. What I'm gonna do is remember these cards in the back of my mind. So I'm gonna remember 10 of diamonds. I'm gonna hold a break starting now. So 10 of diamonds, the next one is the 5 of clubs, and the next one is the 9 of diamonds. So I remember 10, 5, 9. I just really have to remember the values. At this point, I just have to ask the spectator, tell me the name of your card. And at this point, this is a multiple outs trick, because no matter which card they name, you'll always be able to hit it. So if their card was the 10 of diamonds, you would do a triple lift like this. That's what I actually did in the performance. I did a triple lift. If their card was the 5 that you peeked, you're going to basically do a double lift. So you can get rid of the triple lift here by riffling off 1, and then you do a double lift, showing the 5 of clubs. If their card was the 9, you just flip over the top card singly, and that would be the end of the trick. In this case though, their card was the 10 of spades, and you might have noticed that I actually didn't peek the 10 of spades yet. If they name a card that I didn't see here, that actually means it has to be this card over here. I tell them, go ahead and flip over the top card in your pile. And I think this is the best reaction because it's in their own hands when they flip over their own thought of card. It's just super, super powerful. So that's if they name the card that you haven't peeked here in these first 3 cards. So that's pretty much the entire trick right there. But one more thing that I'll clarify is in the middle of the trick here, when you're spreading out these cards and you ask them if they see their card. If they say no, that means it's actually going to be in this half over here that you're still holding on to, which means that it's actually going to be one of the top 4 cards already. So it's not going to be on the bottom, it's going to be on the top because this was the original top half of the deck. So that means their card has to be here. All I have to do is shuffle 3 cards on top, and then I can do my false shuffle, and then I continue with the trick as I just explained. So I just do this, do the break, and yeah, all of that. So that's basically the entire trick right there. So I really, really hope you guys enjoyed this one. I'm pretty proud of it, and I think it's a really, really cool version of out of sight, out of mind. And I really hope you guys try this out. And yeah, so hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and see you guys next time. Bye.